YouTube, welcome back. I hope you guys have watched my last video of one of the biggest accomplishments that I have. A little boy that wanted to and actually succeeded. Job not finished though. Yeah, man, I passed the ASVAB. Extremely happy. I apologize about the mood, the way it is right now. Like, listen, it's been a very tough week. Do you not see the bags under my eyes? I don't think I've had bags under my eyes like this in years, bro. In years. Though I am tired, accomplishing goals, for some reason, brings energy even when you don't have energy. You know what I mean? Like, but we're gonna stay calm and cool and collective because, like I said, job is not done. Why do I want to join the military? That's a question that, the recruiter asked you, and he's going to ask you this, or whatever you're trying to do, that person is going to ask you why. But it always kind of makes you think, right? As it should. But why do I want to join the military? And I thought it would be simple. I thought it would be something where, you could just answer the question just like that. But there's so much moving parts to it. But we're going to start in the beginning. When I was little, I always was curious. I was a curious kid. Most of the time I would be watching, when I was little, I wouldn't lie, I'm not gonna lie, I did watch cartoons, but I would say the majority of my time on watching TV would probably be spent watching Nat Geo Wild, the History Channel, Animal Planet, things like that. And I remember me watching, I don't know if they still have this because I haven't watched cable in years. I won't say years, but passing by, sometimes you might see a TV and then you might stop and watch. So a couple of times in the year, I've watched, probably counting my hand, the amount of time I've watched TV in the last 5 years. But there would be times where there would show the history on the History Channel. They would show the military, and sometimes it wouldn't even be the relevant one that we have now. It would be the ones in the past, like the Spartans and stuff. So it always piqued my curiosity to be on a team. Their uniforms always caught my eye. I never, when I was younger, it's crazy. So when you see things on TV, you don't think they're real because you never see it in real life. So when I was younger, yeah, I seen it on TV, but I never saw it in real life. When I saw it in real life, it was like a surreal feeling. It was like a weird, oh, this is actually real. It's possible. When you see something, when you touch something, you can tell it's you can see it's real. You see it's possible. Maybe I can. And then I saw someone that looked like me in there, and I was like, wow. So it is possible. Younger, I used to play a lot with action figures, G.I. Joes. I would have these very intense stories, and a lot of times it was, built within the military. But young, I was told, and I'm still like this. If you go to war, if you're gonna send you to war if you go over there, I really wasn't really into the war part. I was more so into that family, that group, that You know what I mean? That without doing that. You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't really it. So that was what really kind of deterred me. And it was like, if you put that on, then you have to go to war. Like that's when I was younger, that's what I was taught, you know? Urban myths. Have me a seat real quick. Ugh, your boy is tired. Right after this video, I'm going to sleep. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm going to sleep. But yeah, you get into the military, you're going to war. You gotta learn how to shoot a gun. You gotta do all this, right? That wasn't really my stizzy. That's not my style. That's not what I do. That's not what I want to do. Shouts out to everyone that does do it, but that's not really what was pulling me to the Army or the Air Force or the Navy. If you watch my videos, you know which one I'm actually trying to get into, but I'll be honored to get into any of them. Be honest with you. Be honored. But that's not what really was pulling me to it. So years go by, you know, kids are growing up. We're experimenting. We're looking at different careers. Maybe I want to be a pilot. What did I say? I wanted to be a dentist. Maybe I wanted to be a doctor. Maybe I wanted to be a firefighter. You know, there was a whole bunch of different things that I tried. But nothing really ever pulled me in like the military. So going into high school, you know, when you're in middle school, they have you visit, or where I'm from, they have you visit a high school, and you know how high schools have what is it called, JRTC, ROTC, and you know, it's like kind of like a not a recruiting thing, but like not a fair, but it's showing you what the school has to offer. You know, there's the football team, you know, there's the soccer team, there's the basketball team, there's ROTC, there's a chess club, there's debate club, there's a whole bunch of groups. And I remember me having that same feeling like, wow, I want to do this. I want to do this. And what that school had was ROTC for the Air Force. So I remember looking at them and being like, man, I want to do this. I grabbed the paper, and I remember saying, man, I can't wait to do this. And I remember why I didn't ended up doing it. It was because I wanted to do football, and what was said was like, you can't really do both. You can't do both. You can't do football and ROTC, because things that you might be doing might contradict the things that you might be doing in football. So I had to make a decision. And I love the military, but I did also have dreams of becoming a professional athlete and buying my mom a house that way. So don't judge me. I had to make a decision, made that decision. Don't regret that decision, because I had a very great experience, but I do wish that I was able to do both. I will say that. Went my whole 4 years and wasn't able to do it. So after that, I graduated, went through life, and was juggling a whole bunch of different jobs, doing a whole bunch of different things, and not really nothing making sense. And I remember thinking, I'm like, man, I was like 21 at this time. I'm a little bit older than that now. But I remember like, man, I can't just keep doing this, right? I can't just be starting dead-end jobs. I can't be just, not sticking to things. You feel me? Like, going to interviews was like, like, it's tiring. You don't want to do this. You don't want to be job hoppers. You see people starting their careers and stuff like that. People having their own lives, and you're like, man, I don't want to just be floating. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. So, with that being said, I was like, I'm gonna try and join the military. I remember it was right after a college class. I think I was doing bad in that class too. This is the first go around. I think I was doing bad in that class, and I was like, man, I need to make a decision. So right after class, I stopped by the recruiter's office, spoke to the recruiter, and he explained to me all that. And he was actually a very, very great recruiter. But the same way I wanted to do it was the same doubts that I had of myself. Like, is this the right choice? Because I've made so many choices. Like, is this the right thing? Very indifferent in the kids. Like, I didn't understand. You know what I mean? I wish I did. Recruiter, talked to me a lot, gave me advice, told me, hey man, listen, this job right here that you're doing, and at this point I was a gas station garbage picker. It was crazy, bro. It was hard times, man. But yeah, he actually came to the job and came and spoke to me and was telling me things, right? And I remember being like, yeah, he might be right, but I was so busy thinking of what other people might think, what other people might say. So I was like, nah, man, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. And then he was like, okay, my number if you need me. That was that. I then went a couple of more months, and I was like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it, bro. This ain't it. I give it to all my gas station attendants. This ain't it for me. So I was like, nah, I can't do this. Went to my recruiter's office. I think at this time he wasn't there anymore. He left, which was one of my. I don't regret a lot, but that was one of, because he was actually one of the coolest recruiters that I talked to. Because he actually really wanted the best for me, but I couldn't see it at that time. He wasn't there. I then started thinking, I'm like, hey, if I'm talking to the Army, I need to be able to understand that I'm making the right decision. So I went and talked to the Air Force. Went and talked to the Air Force. They told me all this stuff. Did my research on the Air Force. Watched a lot of Kyle Gott. If you guys are in the Air Force, you watched a lot of Kyle Gott. I was watching him when he was literally in his prime on YouTube. That was when I was trying to get into it. Things happened, and I was disqualified. So I was not able to join at that time, and it devastated me. That was one of the biggest that heartbreak was worse than girlfriends. That was worse than any loss that I've taken. I took that so bad. For the next few years, I kid you not, that was literally on my mind. How I just basically ruined my dream. It literally ruined. No, but I became good. There were goods that happened with it. But when you had something in your mind that you really wanted to do, and that was what you felt like you were meant to do, especially at that young of an age, there's really no consolidating. Only time could heal. And Even with time, it didn't heal. Like, I always thought about it. So after like a couple of months, I was like, man, I can't be just soaking. So what I did was I ended up getting my CDL. Got my CDL. And I started driving at like, I think 21, 22, one of those. 21, 22, one of those years. Started driving. Drove for like a couple. I was like, man, this ain't it either. And I was on the road for like 6 months the first time I left. 6 months. Nope, I never came back home. Which I will say was a good thing because I had time to think. It was just me and my thoughts. Read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts, gained a lot of knowledge, gained this, being able to speak to a camera. Found my other love, which is YouTube. I love YouTube. YouTube is one of my... I cannot make a dime on YouTube. I could be only the person watching this YouTube channel and I will be happy. This is one of my biggest happiness. It's weird. Money sometimes doesn't always bring happiness. Sometimes it's just the little things, right? So, boom. Started doing my CDL driving. And came back home because it wasn't for me. I remember when I came home, it was like, I want to say a couple years after. Stopped by the recruiter's office and was like, man, actually, I was on the road and I had called one of them texted me because they still have my number. And they were like, hey, I know a couple of years ago you were trying to get into the military. Are you still interested? This is like the midst of me like, man, I don't want to do this anymore and stuff like that, right? And I was like, man, this got to be a sign. So I texted him back. I was like, yeah, I'm actually on the road right now. I'll be home in a couple of weeks. Can we speak? He was like, sure, man. Stop by whenever you're coming. Came, spoke to him. At that time, I think they could tell that I really wasn't all in. It wasn't that I wasn't serious, because I was serious. I wouldn't be going to your office if I'm not serious, especially at that time. Like, I guess the reputation that I had when I, almost went through with it and, went through that whole thing, kind of left like a little signal. So they're like, nah, not right now. And another heartbreak. I felt like that heartbreak was worse. Nah, the first one was bad. The second one was pretty bad too, but there wasn't really nothing I could do about the second one. So, had one day to leave, left, started driving again. A couple of months went by, came back home, started doing something completely different. And some years passed by, and I started school, which is where I'm at right now. And then started school, doing school, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And what was it? I was driving past the recruiter's office one day, and I was like, man, and I'm telling you, once that feeling happens, bro, it's just something that I always wanted to do. You know what I mean? It's something that I always wanted to do. It's like an itch that I couldn't scratch. I was passing by that office, seeing that office, and I was like, man, I'm gonna pull in. And y'all can watch the rest of the videos after. But yeah, spoke to the recruiter. I'm not gonna do that to you. Spoke to the recruiter. Went through my whole trials and tribulations about it. A whole bunch of different things. And today, this is actually the next video after that. Today, I finally was able to, take my ASVAB, pass my ASVAB, implement that I'm qualified to join. Now I just have to go to MEPS and do all that paperwork and swear in, and then it's all gravy. But appreciate y'all for watching. I know it was a long-winded video, but if this is gonna help someone, I'm glad I posted it. And until the next time, bro. See you in the next video. Y'all keep fighting.